The ball forward line, number 13, Maurice McDonald, number 14, Mark O'Connor, and number 15, Peter Duffy. To the public, there are two changes on the Clontibret lineup as per what's happening on the official programme. They are number 17, Sean Wood, containing place of number 2, Brendan Murphy, and number 19, Jared Moon, replaces number 7, Shane McGuinness. The Clontibret team will now line out as follows. In goal today, Michael Thompson, captain. Four back line, number 17, Sean Wood. Number 3, Horace McGuinness. And number 4, Brendan Moon. The half-back line will include number 5, Sean Shane, number 6, Niall McGuinness, and number 19, Jared Moon. In on contact, number 8, John Paul Moon, and number 9, Damien McKenna. Half-forward line, number 10, Niall Malone, number 11, Declan Brennan, and number 12, Brian McCain. The front-forward line will abbreviate number 13, Michael O'Donnell, number 14, Michael Hughes, and number 15, Gregory Leonard. Senior county final is John Mullen, Scotstown. The Fairley
welcome here to St. Turnix Park in Clones for the showpiece of the Monaghan GAA, the Senior County Championship final between two great rivals here, Castleblayney Fogs and Clontibret O'Neills. The two teams are right on the pitch here in front of us. Castleblayney down on our left and Clontibret down here on our right. And just the announcements been made over the public address system there by Gary Carville, County PRO. And those announcements include a couple of changes in the Clontibret line-out, so I think we'll go through the line-out of the teams as the Clontibret O'Neills band is lining up here in front of us to start the parade. We'll give you the line-out of the teams as they have been given by the PRO there, Gary Carville. In goals for Clontibret is Mickey Thompson, and also captaining his team. There's a change here at right full back. Sean Woods will be wearing number 17, comes in at right corner back. Full back then is Porrick McGuigan, and left full is Declan or Willie Moan. Long-haired player, I'm sure we'll see him during the match. The half-back line on the right is Sean McSkane, wearing number 5, Niall McGuinness, wearing number 6, playing at centre half-back, and listed at left half-back, surprisingly, is Jared Moan, but somehow I don't think we'll see him play there. The mid of the field is manned by John Paul Moan, who'll be wearing number 8, and Damien McKenna, who'll be wearing number 9. The half-forward line on the right is Niall Malone, playing on the 40 is Declan Brennan, and left half-forward is Brian McSkane. The full forward line reads, top of the right, Michael O'Dowd. Mickey Dowd needs no introduction. Full forward, Michael Hughes. And top of the left is Gregory Leonard. Now the Castleblayney team. In goals, Joe Sullivan. The full back line, right full back is Emmett Brennan. Full back is Eddie Murphy. And left full is Dermot Hughes. The half back line on the right is Stephen McGill, will be wearing number 5. Aidan Tarvey mans the centre half back berth. And Dermot McCardle brings together a very strong and solid half-back line for Castleblayney, wearing number 7. Mid of the field, wearing number 8 is Tom Miller, and number 9 is Dermot Coochie Duffy. The half-forward line then on the right is Paul O'Connor. Centre half-forward is Declan Lockman, who also captains his team today, and Ray McCardle, wearing number 12, will play at left half-forward. The full forward line then is Porrick McDonald, Mark O'Connor, wearing number 14, and top of the left, another man who needs no introduction, Peter Duffy. As the teams now parade behind the band here, Clontibret led by Mickey Thompson and Castleblayney led by Declan Lockman. So as I said there, Clontibret showing two changes from the line out as was shown in the programme. Sean Woods coming in at number 17 at right corner back, and Jared Moan coming in listed at left half back wearing number 19, but somehow I think we'll see him operate further up the field. The referee for the day's match is John Mullen out there in the centre of the pitch. There's two linesmen there, I'm not quite sure. I think Francie McMahon could be one of them. I'm not too sure who the other man is, but we'll watch the band here in the centre. Clontibret pipe band, of course. Very much a passion of Peter Morgan's. Their Peter, of course, whose son Brian is away in faraway fields today, and a member of this Clontibret team last year. And many people feel that Clontibret have lost too many of last year's team through emigration and injury to to really put up the Castleblayney this time, but nonetheless, it's still the final, it's still any hours to play for, and I'm sure Clontibret are not going into this one with that sort of attitude. The men who have come in are surely there on merit, despite missing some county players like the Padraig McShane and Brian Morgan, Conor Moan, amongst others. Clontibret, I'm sure, will be trying to make up for the loss. Castleblayney, on the other hand, of course, who started very warm favourites last year and ended up on the wrong side of the scoreline on it by a 3-point margin, will be surely hoping to avenge that defeat and bring back the 33rd championship to Castleblayney this afternoon. The teams have now gone back to the respective halves into their huddle, and Castleblayney have just gone into a more loose format, just throwing the ball about as Clontibret. Been spoken there by one of the Manticus, Jared Molan, there having some words. Michael O'Dowd certainly speaking from experience there, a man who has played quite a lot of football for Clontibret, indeed for Monaghan as well. Orchestrating the team top there, right in back on the 45-metre lines. Obviously the toss has been taken. Castleblayney will play at the aid of the breeze here in the first half, but it is a swirling breeze. It's blowing back in towards the Jerry Arthur stand here as well as blowing up the field. So having watched the minor match there, it's quite a difficult breeze to fathom, so I'm sure Castleblayney will be trying to use it to as much of their advantage in this first half as they possibly can, and even at that there's a skift of a shower coming across Clones here. The pitch in splendid condition here for this final, and as always the Clones ground very much one of the premier venues, not alone in Monaghan but throughout the country. So the referee out there just waiting for the teams to get back into the positions. The band here just down in front of us getting ready, I'm sure, to play around the Vian, our national anthem. So the last words are spoken back in their boat camps.
The words of the national anthem are printed on page 7 of your program.
So all the formalities are nearly over and done with. As the announcer comes over the microphone there for around the Vian, will listen to Clontibret O'Neill's pipe band. And so the stage is set. Clontibret defending the goal on our right. We'll just watch it to see where Jared Moan might end up. As a much more famous commentator used to say, the late Michael O'Hare, the backs go back and the forwards go forward. You see Jared Moan is certainly moving out of the back lane as I thought he would. And indeed, Sean Woods has come into the centre of the pitch. The man listed a corner back. We'll just have to list. Sean McSkane has gone in right full back. Paul McGuigan still full back. And Willie Moan has come out to the half back line. Niall McGuinness is manning the centre. No, indeed, he's leaving that one, I think, to John Paul Moan. Seems to have gone back in defence for Clontibret. Jared Moan has gone in at left half forward. So Jared Moan put it up there against Stephen McGill. Niall McGuinness has gone right half back, in fact. And John Paul Moan playing centre half back. So quite a few changes in the Clontibret team. The half back lane completely rejigged here. So the referee prepares to throw the ball in, and the game is on. Up to go for it. First to break away there was Castleblayney, but player coming out very deep is Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy being tackled back there by John Paul Moan up towards the 45, gets himself to free. And the referee just calling the play back. Peter anxious to take it from a more forward position, being pulled back there to about 40 7 or 8 metres from the posts. So this one I think will be taken by Mark O'Connor. Pádraig McDonald it is indeed. Pádraig McDonald stepping back behind this free. Of course, Pádraig, Castleblayney's top scorer this season. A member of the Monaghan senior panel as well. Quite a few Monaghan senior panelists in view here. As Pádraig kicks it right footed. It's gone right in towards the goal mouth. Up the goal foot. Ball is boxed out there, but the referee has spotted a square ball infringement, so he's awarded a free out to Clontibret. So the early pressure just yielding a Clontibret free kick from their own goal area. Mickey Thompson there having great to retrieve the ball himself. So both teams just sizing each other up. Just see if there's any other positional switches on the Castleblayney team. I don't. Peter Duffy certainly playing a deeper role in corner forward. He's been picked up out there by John Paul Moore, playing just wide of the 40 yards position as the ball is kicked out by Mickey Thompson. The Breeze pulling it back. Up the goal for the ball, breaks loose in the far side. Peter Duffy chasing, but can't quite get to it, but feeds it inside to Pádraig McDonald. Pádraig McDonald releasing back to Peter Duffy, loses the ball though, and the ball runs in towards the goalkeeper. The referee says no foul committed, so the ball runs over the line and wide, so the first wide of the match goes to Castleblayney, and Mickey Thompson will resume with a kick out from the edge of his own small area. Mickey, of course, sporting that famous hairstyle of his. Virtually no hair at all as Mickey comes up to kick right footed. Good kick against the Breeze. Jared Monin under, breaks the ball down there only for Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman releasing it back and goes back into the full forward. There's Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor chasing out towards the sideline. The ball bounces off him, but not before he pushes the referee. It'll be a free kick quickly taken. Come back inside to Stephen McGill, but his kick is away when Mickey Thompson's able to gather. Mickey Thompson, the goalkeeper, coming out kicking right foot towards that far side of the field, and Sean Woods with the ball, being tackled out there on the far side, but Tom Miller gets himself to free. Release it back there quickly to Damien McKenna. Damien McKenna's kick is up along that far side, been chased out there in the far corner by Gregory Leonard. Gregory Leonard from Clontibret back across towards the 45, throwing it through in his right boot in towards Mick O'Dowd. Mick O'Dowd's pass is not a good one though. Coming back there to gather on the Castleblayney defenders. And the player getting the ball away there was Emmett Brennan. Further up to Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy's ball broken away from Peter Duffy there and coming away for his pilot away to Clontibret, the full back. Releasing it back to Jerry Moan. Jerry Moan is fouled there as he tried to get away the ball, and I see the full back shipping a knock there in that particular challenge. The Castleblayney number 10, Paul O'Connor, I think is going to find himself the first player booked in this year's senior final after about 3 minutes play. The referee John Mullen just checking his number there and putting his name in the book for that particular challenge, and Pádraig McGuigan after the ball had gone. The free, however, will be taken a little further out because there was a foul committed on Jerry Moan about 50 metres from his own goal, and Pádraig McGuigan still needing attention out there, and the referee's come back into checking his condition. So Clontibret already without several key players from last year's panel, would not want to lose any more players. Quite a bit of concern over his condition out there, and John Mullen speaking to Brendan McGuinness, the team manager at Clontibret out there, about Pádraig McGuigan, but I think he's going to be fit to resume. He's taking a drink from the magic bottle and he's come back to resume his position to police Mark O'Connor. Niall McGuinness will be the free taker, just on about 52 or 3 metres out from his own goals. Now opting for a shortish kick to the oncoming Michael Hughes, but the ball is coming across towards Eddie Murphy. Michael Hughes with the ball very close to the sideline. He's gone over the sideline. The ball had gone over the sideline. And Sean Woods is the throw ball back there. Castleblayney's Tom Miller releasing it back there to Stephen McGill, who in turn gives it back to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, of course, another county player, getting it back to his number 12 there, Ray McCardle, setting him on the attack. The ball was in, but John Paul can't quite hold on to it. Clontibret player coming away with there. Out of the corner there was Sean McSkeen. John Paul Munn kicking clear up on that far side, but well filled out there by Dan McCardle. Back inside to Aidan Tavi in his trusty left boot, sending Castleblayney on the attack again. Going across there towards Dermot Duffy, but it's cut out this time by Damien McKenna. Damien McKenna putting Clontibret on the attack. Mick O'Dowd in his own half, going in a solo run up across the halfway line. Still Mick kicking it right foot in towards Michael Hughes. Quite a battle in there between Michael Hughes and Eddie Murphy. Michael Hughes can't quite get to it. The player getting the ball now from him is Gregory Lennon, goes to the ground, gets it back again. And it's Clontibret trying to build an attack, being pressurised down. Jerry Moan coming back to pick up the ball, is fouled, pushed to the ground as the referee. Free kick for Clontibret. He's just telling Dermot McCardle to get back to his position. This free kick is about 42 or 3 metres out from the post, slightly to the right. The taker will be Declan Brennan. Declan just placing this ball on the ground. Coach quite entitled to kick it out of his hands if he wanted to. We've got players gone on either side of him, but I'm sure Declan's going to try and opt for a kick from the ground. He's playing against the breeze, but the breeze has died down just a little bit. Declan kicks right foot, it's gone away out towards the right, but it's curling back in, but not enough. It's gone to the right and it's gone wide, so the first wide of the game for Clontibret. Declan Brennan from that free kick. So still no score on the scoreboard. We've just gone over 6 minutes in this first half. And Joe Sullivan will get his first chance to kick out the ball from the edge of the small rectangle. Joe sporting an all green jersey and black tags as he comes up to kick. Right for a good kick towards the halfway line, up the goal for Declan Brennan, breaks it down, Bernie as far as Aidan Tavi saying Benny on the attack again. It's up to Ray McCardle trying to pick out his full forward there, but then full back instead. Paul McGuigan going back together from Clontibret. Inside to John Paul Moan. John Paul, the blonde-haired player, back up to his number 17 is Shani Wood. Shani Wood's on the 45, releasing it back inside net for Niall Malone. Niall Malone still with the ball from Clontibret, deep in his own half. Releasing it back again, but throwing it, says the referee, to Brian McSkane. So a free kick for Castleblayney, and the referee fairly adamant that this free kick be taken from the proper position. Close to that far sideline, about 50 metres out. Up along the far wing, but John Paul Monk cuts it out for Clontibret, kicking right for it. Still keeping it along the far wing. Up the goal for McLeod, gets a fist over. It's gone close to the sideline, it's gone over the sideline, so it'll be line ball for Castleblayney. Back this time in their own half by about 10 metres on the far side of the field. Emmett Brennan the kicker, left for the kick. John Paul Moan doesn't quite judge it right. Ball breaks loose, cross the fist of the goals, but coming across there's Niall McGuinness. Or indeed Paul McGuigan, shouting a low ball out to Damien McKenna. A young player is Damien, but a good left foot kick from him. Up to his full forward, but well fielded in there by Emmett Brennan. Emmett Brennan has the ball, trying to break his way out, gets the ball back. And it's released to Eddie Murphy on the halfway line, kicking right for it. Into the corner forward position, chased out there by Mark O'Connor, but the ball has gone over the sideline, so it'll be a line ball for Clontibret. This game has yet to come to life for this line ball. Come back deep in Clontibret half a bit. Near enough the 19-metre line. I think John Paul Moan is going back in there to take the kick. John Paul, of course, who is listed at midfield in the programme, but finds himself playing in the half-back position. I think he may be penciled in there to police Peter Duffy as he takes his kick right for it. In the centre of the pitch, Aidan Tavi going back, gathers the ball well despite falling to the ground, still has the ball, trying to break his way out, gets a pass back, but not before he's fouled. Eddie Murphy with the ball, about to take the free. Kicking a low ball towards that far side, Willie Moan, but John Paul Moan coming out very well. The back now coming up towards the midfield. Wearing number 8, kicking a low ball in towards Michael Keys. The ball bounces away from Doe, doesn't quite get hold of it. And the player getting picking it up there is Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy back up on the far side. His friend Ray McCardle. Ray McCardle has a couple of Castleblayney players inside. The man is Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy's right for the kick. It's gone in. It's gone over the bar. The first score again. Peter Duffy for Castleblayney, putting them into the lead. And I make it just 9 minutes gone in this first half. So 1 point to no score. The scoreboard reads as Mickey Thompson brings this ball out to the 19-metre line. Peter Duffy certainly finding himself in a lot of space on that occasion. Well picked out there by Eddie Murphy, I think it was. So Mickey Thompson going back behind this ball. Kicking it right footed, just across the halfway line, up the goal for it. Steve McGill gets a fist over, runs down as far as Willie Moan. Willie Moan from Clontibret, a left foot kick from him, very high ball towards this corner. And Brennan chasing up, was content to let it go over the sideline. It'll be a line ball for Castleblayney. That deep in his own half, and Brennan with the ball. Waiting for someone to come running, and then has to go back and rethink, but kicks it right for it. The ball breaks in the centre, well caught there by Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman with the ball, releasing it back there to Tom Miller. Tom Miller right for the kick is a very, very long high ball in towards the Clontibret going out. Mickey Thompson's come out of his line, gathers the ball, the goalkeeper coming with and fisting out towards this half, and Sean, this side, and Sean Wood. Sean Wood's very deep in his own half. Sean coming up been tackled there, gets a fisted pass up to Niall McGuinness. Niall McGuinness coming out the ball, releasing it further to left half back Sean McSkane. Sean McSkane to John Paul Moon, drop kick from John Paul. Right through the centre up the goal for the well fisted on by Michael Hughes, by Michael O'Dowd, but cut out by Emmett Brennan. Emmett Brennan reading as well as always. Out to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes further up along that far side as Castleblayney build the attack from the back. It's Aidan Tavi on the ball now. The centre half back, racing it back inside. He's got Dermot Duffy right for the kick. It's gone in high and over the bar. Dermot Duffy scoring the second point for Castleblayney. So 2 points coming from two of the county stalwarts. Dermot Duffy putting his name on the scoreboard on that occasion. 2 points to no score, and I'll make it coming up to 11 minutes gone now this first half as Mickey Thompson rolls the ball out to the 19-metre line. I'm sure he'll not be too anxious to get it back in play, playing against the Breeze as he is. Quite a lot of bunching in around the centre again in this match. Mickey Thompson's wearing bandage on his left knee, kicks this one. High ball, across the half a line. Jared Munn goes very high, grabs ball, loses it again. Dermot Duffy picks it up. This Tom Miller. Tom Miller right for the kick is along the side. And chased out there by Park McGuigan, the Clontibret full back deep in his own half. Sells a nice little dummy in there. Comes up now. Plays outside to Brian Missy. There's not a good pass. There comes the opposite number 12. Release it back inside to Stephen McGill. Stephen McGill to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman to Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy opting for the shot at goal. Right for the one, but this one's gone away to the right, I think. Yes, it's gone well wide. That's Castleblayney's second wide of the afternoon, so the score will remain 2 points to no score. So the ball coming back from behind those goals to Mickey Thompson again for the kick out. So the referee there, John Mullen, just telling Mickey Thompson he'll have to hurry on a little bit, or he'll be adding on a little bit of time for wastage there. Mickey goes back into the wall, comes up. Socks down his ankles, he kicks this one right footed. He's strapping in the centre. Dermot Duffy nudges there, he gets the ball down to Peter Duffy nonetheless. Peter Duffy's pass inside, a good pass inside and sets him on the attack. It's now Paul O'Connor there. His shot is blocked down by Mickey Thompson in the goals, releasing it back out to Jerry Moan. Jerry Moan very deep now in his own half, having to go back there to fetch out to Willie Moan. Willie Moan, the long-haired Willie. Up to his number 12 is Brian McSkane. Brian McSkane into Damien McKenna. Damien McKenna in the centre pitch being tackled by Jeremy Duffy. Lets a low ball up along that far side towards Michael Hughes, and Eddie Murphy's there. Good interception by Eddie Murphy, the fullback, up across into the Clontibret half, releasing of his right boot up towards Peter Duffy again, slips there. Peter has to go back down, fetch the ball breaks loose on the far side. He's still fetched up there by Eddie Murphy, releasing it back there to Jeremy Duffy. Jeremy Duffy a bit of time on the ball, not knowing quite what to do. He gets back to his corner back, Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes feeding across again as Castleblayney line across the field, but a shot in towards the goal. Is Mickey Thompson going to be content to let it go wide? I'm sure he is. He does indeed. Third wide of the game there for Castleblayney. Quite a lacklustre first half so far, with just almost 13 and a half minutes gone as Mickey Thompson will kick this one from the edge of the small rectangle. So the early attacking, certainly most of it been done by Castleblayney. But remember, there is a breeze in this match, so it could change in the second half as Mickey Thompson kicks this one towards this side. Up the go for Declan Lockman, can't quite get there, but Jerry Moan gets in, but doesn't quite get the ball. Declan Lockman goes back to fetch. Declan could distribute the ball, getting up along that far line. He kept in play there into Paul O'Connor. He's gone over the sideline. It's going to be a line ball for Clontibret, just outside their own 19-metre line, to be taken by Niall McGuinness. Niall across towards Willie Moan. Willie back towards Niall McGuinness, playing it a neat little 1-2 back in there. Niall's kick is not a good one though. It's gone up in the air. The wind bringing it back. Peter Duffy on, and Peter Duffy fields as well. Despite the attention of John Paul Moan, attacked by Willie Moan. He got down in a free kick, says the referee. This one's about 40 metres out from the posts, slightly to the right of them. Sure, Park McDonald will be the taker of this. Indeed, Park is going to take it. Perhaps he's going to leave it to Aidan Tavi, a left-footed player coming up from centre half back. So Aidan now will replace the ball, and I'm sure have a go at a point as Aidan steps back. This is slightly to the right of the posts. Aidan Tavi comes up, kicks it left-footed, neatly over the bar from Aidan Tavi. His first point of the game. And Castleblayney's third. Clontibret, of course, still to register the score. It's just gone 15 minutes now in this first half. So the early attacking been done by Castleblayney. Leading 3 points to no score as Mickey Thompson brings this one out to the 19-metre line. I think Brendan McGuinness, this Clontibret manager there, is contemplating some changes to his lineup. Come back to consult with his selectors there. So Mickey Thompson kicks right for it. Good kick from Mickey against the breeze. Across the halfway line, Sean Woods and under, breaks the ball down as far as Niall McGuinness. Trying to set up a Clontibret attack up towards the 45. Been tackled out there by Tom Miller, still has the ball. Was inside Tom Miller and tries to set it down, he doesn't quite succeed. The ball's on the ground, he tries to pick it up. Eventually succeeds and gets the ball released back to Shani Woods, but Shani doesn't quite hold on to it. Castleblayney defence is coming away with it. Just broken away from them in turn. So the referee is twisting it up there for a foul on Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy inside his own 45. Been told to go back a couple of yards by the referee to take the resultant free. Eddie will kick out his right hand up along that far wing. Been cut out there on the far side but for Paddy McDonald, but it's not getting to the other player again. There's Niall Malone into Shani Woods. Shani Woods back up to Shane McGuinness. Free kick quickly given. In towards this full foul line on Nicola Dowd. Nicola Dowd with the ball waiting for someone to come to him. Decides to sell it down. He cut inside himself, going a little solo on. The ball is going away from there, and the player coming away there with the ball is Ray McCarty. Running as far as John Paul now. John Paul up along this side. Been chased here by Michael Hughes. By Gregory Leonard. Is Gregory Leonard. Back in, cuts it inside. He's got Niall Malone. Niall Malone trying to break his way through there. Been tackled by Dermot Hughes. Goes to the ground. Still has the ball. Release it back out to Michael Hughes, doesn't quite get to it. Emmett Brennan goes, Emmett Brennan to Aidan Tarvey to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy coming away from the back across the 45, up towards the halfway line, looking for the options round. The one is Declan Lockman on the halfway line. Declan Lockman up across the far side towards Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy drifting off John Paul Moore in towards the 45. Has a chance at a shot in his unique Sillian, high up in the air, still going right across the pitch, and then takes a right footed shot, but this one's gone well to the right and gone well wide. I make that Castleblayney's full wide. Peter Duffy will be none too happy with his finishing performance there. So the referee is just telling Mickey Thompson that he's got another ball inside in the goal and that he must use it, he must not waste any more time. He certainly looks at the watch and telling him that he's going to add on some stoppage time at half time. I make it 70.5 gone in the first half as Mickey places this ball to the left of the small rectangle. Comes up now to kick, right for the kick from Mickey. Quite a good kick against the breeze again. Sean Woods goes up and breaks the ball only as far as Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman to Stephen McGill, feeding his forwards up there is Park McDonald with the ball being policed there by Sean McScreen, trying to get around him. There's a back there too. There's number 10 is Paul O'Connor. Inside and Castleblayney attack here, a chance here. They're spoken up by the Clontibret defence, and the player coming away there with the ball is Jerry Moon. Jerry Moon deep back and loses the ball there. Castleblayney players going in there. Dermot Duffy here on the ball, racing it back there. Quite a lot of mishandling in there by both teams. Jerry Moon comes out to try and gather the ball. Is fouled and it's a free out for the Clontibret. Jerry Moon having to move back deep into his own half to try and gain possession. Niall McGuinness will take the resultant free, which has been moved outside the 45 for some dissension there on the part of the Castleblayney players. Niall's kick is right footed. Up they go for the ball, breaks down from Emmett Brennan. Back comes Eddie Murphy there, sweeping well at the back up to Declan Lockman. Declan on the halfway line, the right for a kick. In towards Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy is high, really known up, but the ball breaks loose, brings to him. Niall McGuinness picks up the loose ball. Niall McGuinness coming out of defence up towards the halfway line. It's up to Niall Malone. Niall Malone loses the ball there, and the ball, a lot of fumbling in the centre, but Niall Malone eventually picks it back up again. It towards Mickey O'Dowd. Mickey O'Dowd with the ball now, looking up for the options ahead of him across the 45. Still has time, gets inside to Castleblayney players, releases the ball up on the far side. Sean Woods there is fouled as he tried to take his kick, so it'll be a free kick for Clontibret and perhaps a chance for them to register their first score. Sean Woods is still on the ground, feeling the effects of that injury there as he tried to kick the ball. His leg was caught and certainly he came down awkwardly on it. He's getting back up on his feet now, and I see another of the players here. Castleblayney's Paul O'Connor seemed to have shipped a knock to him as that ball was coming out of the Clontibret defence, but he's back up on his feet, he's okay again. So also Sean Woods, just receiving a drink from the battle there. It'll be Declan Brennan to take this free kick. It's about 25 metres out from the post. Slightly the right as Declan just stands back, stands to attention. His team needing a score. The game is 20 minutes old. Right for the kick from Declan Brennan. It's gone high and through with the ball. Declan Brennan registering Clontibret's first point. After almost 20 and a half minutes, the score, Castleblayney 3 points, Clontibret 1. A low scoring game so far as Joe Sullivan brings this ball out to the 19-metre line for the first kick out from that particular line. Up comes Joe to kick it. Stephen McGill, the Castleblayney half-back looking for it, but Joe opts for a long kick towards the far side. Punched up near by Noel McGuinness, but fetched inside by Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor up for towards Tom Miller. Tom Miller with the ball. Puts back inside the tackle, then right for the kick from him. It's gone in right on the over Mickey Thompson's crossbar. Fine score from Tom Miller along the far wing. A fine point. Castleblayney's fourth. Tom Miller's first, but Castleblayney's fourth, and they now lead 4 points to 1, and I make it just over 21 minutes gone in this first half. And Mickey Thompson bringing this ball up to the 19-metre line. So 4 different Castleblayney players have scored. 3 of them from play and 1 from Aidan Tavi's beat from free as the ball is kicked out in the centre. The ball broken down by Sean Woods. It breaks loose in the centre again. Steve McGill picks it up to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman right fisted pass up towards this side, broken away by one of Clontibret backs. It comes back to Lockley again. Lockley releasing. Castleblayney on the attack. Paul McDonald right across there towards Dermy Duffy. Dermy Duffy shipping a tackle there. Comes back. Doesn't go for the shot though. It's robbed there by Niall McGuinness. Niall McGuinness time to come out with the ball. He's been tackled by Dermot Duffy, and the referee has awarded the free out to Niall McGuinness just inside his own 45. I'm sure he'll take the free himself. Out of his hands, he doesn't do a low ball. Up towards Michael Hughes, he doesn't quite hold on to it. Eddie Murphy's there to gather. Eddie Murphy with 2 Declan Lockman. He seems to be on the end of every ball coming out of the Castleblayney defence, fisting it up inside for his friend Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor's on the ground, still with the ball, the full forward, trying to release it back. Succeeds in getting it back there to Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor's ball is right across the far side of the field. Being chased over there, Peter Duffy. Still in the chase, but the ball is broken loose behind him. Declan Moan's come back to gather Declan Moan on his own 19-metre line. Fisted pass out to his fellow defender up along the far side. Towards Declan Brennan was beaten on this occasion by Aidan Tavi, who'll take the free kick himself. In towards Peter Duffy, breaks the ball down. Here comes Castleblayney's there. Mark O'Connor with a right-footed shot from him, and it's gone in and high it over the ball. Mark O'Connor will score. Scoring his first point of the match. And Castleblayney's 5th. They now extend the lead back to 4 points after 23 minutes almost in this first half. And Mickey Thompson again bringing this ball out to the 19-metre line for the kick out. Certainly Castleblayney dominating the opening half for so far. Declan Lockman seems to be playing a very deep centre role, moving back to take the ball from his defence and distribute it to the rest of his forwards. As Mickey Thompson's kick into the centre. Stephen McGill fists down on his forwards. Willie Moan. Willie Moan to Brian McSkeer, a low ball in there to Michael Hughes. Michael Hughes a chance to show his class here perhaps, but loses the ball again, has to turn the back for Greg Reynolds in there, so he's on a Brennan. Michael Hughes comes back in for this ball again. Eddie Murphy's on the ground, he's earned himself a free kick. About 23-4 metres out, takes it quickly himself along that far line. He's got Paul O'Connor, or Ray McCardle, it is rather, Ray McCardle earning himself a free. Take on that far wing, long ball through the centre, been fetched by Peter Duffy, but lose the ball again, but first time it's through into his mark. Castleblayney next to the man here, and a chance for a score. Paul McDonald left the ball behind him. John Paul Moon goes back together, his foul there by Paul McDonald, and gets the free kick back in his own 19-metre line. But relief for Clontibret there, because if Paul McDonald had picked up that ball successfully, I'm sure he would have taken at least a save over Mickey Thompson, as if Mickey Thompson got near it, because I'm sure Paul could have been going for the goal. But he left it behind him, so John Paul Moon getting back to gather him in foul, so the free kick taken by Mickey Thompson. High ball again from him. Jerry Moan in on the breaks it down, Bernie as far as Dermot Duffy to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman on the halfway line. A low ball right for him into Paul O'Connor this time. Paul trying to sell a dummy out there. Back to Stephen McGill. Stephen McGill coming through, been tackled by Jerry Moan. Still has the ball. First time it into a lot of space there. But there's nobody there. It's going close to the sideline. It's going to beat backs and forwards over the sideline. So it'll be a line ball for Clontibret. Sean McSkean will be the taker, I'm sure. Now he's leaving instead for Niall McGuinness. Yes, indeed, Niall McGuinness to take a shortish one to Brian McSkean. Brian McSkean back in his own 45, up towards Michael Hughes, having come very deep for the ball as Michael Hughes playing a full forward right now. He's way back. And the Castleblayney half over playing the ball, gives away the free to be taken here by Paul O'Connor quickly. Paul O'Connor into Mark O'Connor, but it's not a good ball. But Castleblayney work away McCardle trying to get it forward. Ball comes back instead to Paul O'Connor, who's right for the kick. Has gone straight and through over the bar. Paul O'Connor registering his name on the scoreboard, getting Castleblayney's 6th point. Clontibret still with that 1 point, so 5 points the margin. And I now make it 25.5 minutes gone in this first half. An interesting feature of that Castleblayney scoreline is that 6 different players have scored a point apiece. 5 from play, and Aidan Tavi's freed in the 6th one. A couple of Castleblayney players just down there tying their bootlaces. Mark O'Connor, the full forward, he's back on his feet. So the players ready to resume with the kick out from the 19-metre line again from Michael Thompson. Kicking out the centre of the pitch again. Sean Woods and Numbers, so is Tom Miller. Breaks the ball down. Peter Duffy coming in there to fetch. Release it back to Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy lead ball up along that far side. Been chased by Paul O'Connor. Close to the sideline. Still has a chance to pick it up. Paul has the ball, but there's a foul coming over there. The referee is going back. There's a foul coming just off the ball. A bit of holding back of the ball. And the referee, John Mullen, quick to spot it there, awarding the free. This is about 40 metres out from the goals on the far side, about I suppose 10 metres in from the far sideline. The player going across to take it there is Ray McCardle. Placing this one on the ground. Ray now just standing behind it, looks at the posts. Can he guide it over the bar? Right for the kick from him. It's gone in, straight over Mickey Thompson's crossbar. Ray McCardle will score that one from free. So Mickey Thompson will have to bring the ball out again to the 19-metre line as Castleblayney lead now 7 points to 1. And I make it just over 27 minutes gone in this first half. Mickey Thompson again in no immediate rush to get this one kicked out. But certainly Castleblayney doing all the pressing in this opening half. Mickey Thompson comes up to kick it. The Breeze is holding this one back a bit, but still reached the halfway line up there with Steve McGill. Brings it down and can't quite hold on to it. The player holding on is Dermot Duffy. Racing on the far side to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes putting them on the attack again up towards Mark O'Connor. Inside now he's got Ray McCardle. Ray McCardle and police by Willie Moon still with the ball though. Ray gets it across towards Mark O'Connor with Paul Wiggins there, but the ball breaks loose between them. Willie Moon's gone in there. The ball is still loose, but the ball comes out towards his side, but it's eventually touched on the ground by one of the Castleblayney players. Willie Moon takes a quick free to Shani Wood. Shani Wood's a right for the kick along the far side towards Gregory Leonard. This time will be beaten by Aidan Tavi. Aidan Tavi going back to fetch the ball. We see inside towards Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy difficulty in holding it. Gets the ball out to Tom Miller. Tom Miller's right for the drive along that firing into the centre. The ball breaks loose again. The player coming up there towards it is Eddie Murphy. On the ground, still has the ball though. Trying to engineer a score here. Takes a left footed shot right across and hits the post and back into play. He gets another chance of the day. Puts inside the tackle, fists it back into Mark O'Connor. Chance here, shot and hit the post again. Down low this time. But back comes Castleblayney again. This time it's gone over the bar. Yes. The umpire hesitated for a moment, but eventually he put the flag up. And so Castleblayney now going to a 8-point-1 lead. And I make it almost 29 minutes gone. In this first half, I think Pirate McDonald could have been the scorer of that one. He's coming back across to his position. Indeed it was Pirate McDonald. So Michael Thompson again with the 19-metre line. His team 7 points behind. Of course Mickey is the captain of the team, showing he's holding him on at this stage. Kicks it right footed. Very high ball dropping down the centre up to go for Jerry Moon. Breaks down on his fast Declan Lackman, releasing Emmett Brennan. Emmett Brennan up along this side where he's got Paul McCall back to Emmett Brennan. Right for the kick from Ernest, gone into towards the goals there. The ball breaks loose inside, comes back to the players Brian Muxkey and to Willie Moon. Willie Moon out to Jerry Moon. Jerry Moon's right footed drive along that far side. Who's picked out Gregory Leonard. Gregory deep in his own half, even though he's this to the corner foul, trying to get the ball out of his own defence along that far wing towards Declan Brennan. But the player getting there first is the Castleblayney players. Castleblayney building from the back again. Dermot Duffy to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes is most important the outside of him. He's got Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor releases the ball there on the far side towards Aidan Tavi. His left footed kick has gone in. Has it got over the bar? Yes, fine score there from Aidan Tavi, moving up from centre half back and sending that ball over the bar.
of his trusty left peg. So that makes the score now read Castleblayney 9 points, Clontibret still with 1. So very much one-way traffic as Clontibret try to get the terms of this breeze, and indeed the Castleblayney team in this first half finding it a bit too much at the moment. 9 points to 1 behind, I'll make it. About 30 seconds of stoppage time, but the referee is telling Mickey Thompson he must kick it out now quickly. Mickey's kick dropping in the centre again. Tom Miller goes up and gets a hand hit. The player on the ground of the ball, but getting up with it now is a Castleblayney player. It's Eddie Murphy on it, Brennan. Out towards Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman up towards the 45. Back inside towards Ray McCarthy. Back to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman again releasing it to his number 10, Paul O'Connor, right for the kick, and that's an exhibition score from Paul O'Connor. Fine point from him. Looking the score now, Castleblayney 10 points, Clontibret 1. 9 points the margin. And I make it 31 minutes gone in this first half. I'm sure the Clontibret players and mentors can't wait for the referee's half-time whistle, because they just seem to be at 6s and 7s at the moment. Castleblayney just hunting in packs, just seem to have a man over at all stages behind the ball as Mickey Thompson again kicks out. This one's going towards the far side. Sean Rose going up. Again is broken away from him though. Clontibret players, Brian McSkin with the ball, trying to work his way out of a sea of Castleblayney players. Releases the ball on the far side there to Mick O'Dowd. Mick O'Dowd gets himself the free, been brought forward now by the referee. A further 20 metres or so, just outside the 45 metre line. Still Mick O'Dowd with the ball kicking right footed. Trying to release one of his men in here in this corner forward position. The player with it there at the moment is Niall Malone. Niall Malone trying to go past a couple of Castleblayney players. Goes to ground, gets the ball back to Jerry Malone. Jerry Malone been tackled there, still has the ball. Kicks it right across the pitch there. He's picked out Mick O'Dowd again. Mick not getting much room, but there's a right foot shot in, and Mick O'Dowd has sent it over the bar to register his team's second point. The scoreline now reading Castleblayney 10 points, Clontibret 2. I make it just over 32 minutes gone in this first half as Joe Sullivan brings this one up to the 19 metre line for the kick out. So quite a good score there from the veteran on the Clontibret team. Mick O'Dowd having to use all his craft and all his goal to get that one over the bar. And now they got back to it. An 8 point margin now for Castleblayney as Joe Sullivan kicks this one out right footer, and that the referee John Mullen calls proceedings to a halt. So here in Clones at half time, Castleblayney going into the dressing rooms enjoying an 8 point lead with the scoreline leading 10 points to 2, and really it has told the tale of that first half, because Castleblayney certainly had by far the better of the possession, seemed more organised, more time on the ball, seemed to have players in positions that could shoot without being harassed and tackled, and that is reflected in the scoreline here as Castleblayney and Clontibret, both teams go into the dressing rooms there. 10 points for Castleblayney, 2 points for Clontibret, but there is quite a strong breeze here, and I'm sure Clontibret will be using that to their advantage in the second half. So we'll be back to capture all the action in the second half very shortly. So the team is back out on the pitch here for the second half. Do you see any changes in personnel? Just looking around, both teams seem to start the second half with the same players as they left the pitch at the end of the first. In the meantime, we've got quite a nasty shower running across Clones here. And this time we're going into the Castleblayney goal on our right. John Mullen, the referee there, just checks his watch. I don't see any positional switches on either team. And the game is on, the second half is on. Sean was trying to get through there. Willie Mullen first timing it through Castleblayney half, and the referee has spotted a free in there. Michael Hughes of the ball was throwing across to Declan Brennan. And so Declan Brennan with a chance of an early score here from Clontibret in the second half. Just about 15 seconds old as Declan Brennan stands behind this ball to try and get it between the posts for his second point of the match. Clontibret 8 points adrift at this stage. Declan just standing to attention, comes up, kicking it right foot. It's gone in there, but it's gone to the right and it's gone wide. So an early opportunity for Clontibret has been missed there. So Castleblayney will resume with a kick out from the boot of Joe Sullivan, the goalkeeper. back on the edge of a small square on this occasion. Joe facing that wind, swirling into his face, kicks it right for the breeze, certainly holding it back, tapping in the 45. Dermot Duffy goes up, the ball is broken from into Michael O'Dowd. Michael O'Dowd releasing Niall McGuinness. Niall McGuinness inside for Greg Whelan, it's too long for him, and Joe Sullivan is content to let that ball roll harmlessly over the end line and wide. So 2 early opportunities for Clontibret come to nothing as Joe Sullivan just gathers the ball behind the goal to bring it to the edge of the small rectangle again. See Brendan McGuinness out here along the line, the Clontibret team manager, who along with Sean Hughes and indeed a well-known Castleblayney man, Jerry Smith, make up the management trio out in Clontibret, very successful last year in winning the championship. And Castleblayney, of course, have Cavalman PJ Carroll training them, along with Tony Dunn, selectors as Pat Mackin and Michael Burns. The ball is kicked out along that far side, picked up by a Clontibret player on the far side, trying to get it back inside to Michael O'Dowd. Michael O'Dowd with the ball, trying to sell a little dummy. His kick there is blocked down well. Comes back out there to Damien McKenna. Damien McKenna on the 45. Kicks is again blocked down. Comes back to Niall McGuinness. Niall McGuinness trying to make his way through. The Castleblayney defence not giving much away. Gets it back to John Paul Moan. John Paul just outside the 45, releasing it on his outside to Niall Malone, who loses the ball in turn, and away come Castleblayney with the ball. Ball is right through the centre here, been first time by Peter Duffy. On to Porrick McDonald. Porrick McDonald trying to sell a little dummy on the far side, being tackled still by John Paul Moan. Cuts back in. Going to have to kick on his left boot from that position, but Paul is going across the pitch. Has plenty of time and lets it back there. Instead to Ray McCardle. Ray McCardle to Tom Miller. Tom Miller across the 45, fisting it up inside where he's found Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor pulled around a little bit there because the left foot kicking nonetheless. It's stopping short. Mikey Thompson comes out. The goalkeeper gathers across the 13, across the 9-metre line. Solo run, then a right long drive way down the field, and the referee spotted a tackle there on Mickey Thompson as he kicked that ball and awards a free from where the ball landed, deep down in the Castleblayney half, about 50 metres from the posts, almost dead straight in front. Michael O'Dowd is the player with the ball. Michael O'Dowd has been told to bring the ball forward by a further 15 or 20 metres. Some dissension by some of the Castleblayney players. The referee, John Mullen, there certainly taking no nonsense. So Damien McKenna now is leaving this one to Declan Brennan. This one's dead straight in front of the posts, about 35 metres out. So a scoring opportunity again for Clontibret and Declan Brennan. Comes up from behind the kick, right footed, and this time he's made no mistake. Declan Brennan has kicked it straight and through over the bar. The second point of the match, and that becomes Clontibret's third. But Castleblayney still have got 10 on the board, so 7 points the margin. And almost 4 minutes gone in this second half as Joe Sullivan brings the ball again up to the 19-metre line. Up comes Joe to kick. Not a very long one this time. Going up but feeling very well. There's Declan Lockman trying to find a way out for himself. Releasing the ball on the far side where he's found Aidan Tabby. Aidan Tabby, ball up along that far side, been well fetched across there by Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor's left foot kick crosses this side of his ball. Paul is chasing after the ball. Clontibret man in there with him as well though. Clontibret man back there is Brian McSkane, and there's a foul committed by Brian McSkane, says the referee. Free kick for Castleblayney. This one's towards this sideline, but the player with the ball is Paul O'Connor. I don't think he's going to take the free himself. He's leaving it instead to Porrick McDonald. Porrick, very accomplished free taker, placing this ball, but it's a difficult angle. But 7 or 8 metres in from the sideline, 26 metres out from the end line. Porrick just having to judge the wind and the angle. Gets a good kick in though. That's a mighty point from Porrick McDonald. A great score from Porrick McDonald. So Castleblayney extend that lead to 11 points to 3 after 5.5 minutes of this second half, and a gem of a score there from Porrick McDonald, having to battle with both the angle and the breeze, but succeeded getting the ball over the bar. So Mickey Thompson again bring the ball up to the 19-metre line, and I see a substitution being made here. Shane McGuinness has come on to the Clontibret team, and the player he has replaced is Brian McSkane, who's been taken off.
We'll follow the play. The ball goes back on the Castleblayney half. Dermot Hughes to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman a bit high there for Stephen McGill, but Stephen gets to it nonetheless. Fisted on the far side there by Michael Conlon, but going back there to fetch his Pádraig McGuigan and gets himself a free back about 50 metres from his own end line. Takes the free himself up on the far side to Niall McGuinness. Niall McGuinness fisting it up inside towards Gregory Leonard. Sells his man while Gregory Leonard gone inside the defender. Right for a kick from him. It's gone in and gone straight over the bar. Great point from Gregory Leonard there. And a score that really Clontibret need badly at this stage, because they're still well adrift of playing. Either 4 points on the scoreboard, but Castleblayney, remember, have got 11, so 7 points still the margin. 6.5 minutes gone now in this second half. Just a feature of that first half, having looked back at it, is the only Castleblayney forward who hasn't yet scored is Declan Lockman, and both the midfielders have scored, plus the centre half back, so quite an array of players getting on the scoreboard today. As Sean Moan gets this ball down, but only as far as the Castleblayney man is Dermot Hughes. He tries to come out of the ball, gets himself a free on the halfway line. Castleblayney just holding the ball up for a moment or two, and Aidan Tavi will come up to kick. Of course, Castleblayney play a possession type game, tend to rove in numbers, play behind the ball as the ball's kicked in very high by Aidan Tavi, well fielded in there by Pádraig McDonald, coming back outside and releasing a low ball to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes for Blaney still looking for the options. Two Clontibret men getting his way there, but he gets the first time ball into Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor's lost the ball over, comes back inside. The player with it again, getting it back outside to Pádraig McDonald. His left foot kick is right across the goals there, and Mickey Thompson comes off his line. Mickey Thompson going out, first timing the ball out to Niall McGuinness. Niall McGuinness, the centre half back, or right half back as he was at the start of the first half, kicking a long high ball into the Clontibret, onto the Castleblayney half. Mick O'Dowd doing very well to get out of that ball there. Some would say despite a little nudge on Aidan Tavi, but he's won himself the free about 45, 47 metres out. Mick standing with the ball. Is he going to leave it down for Declan Brennan, or is he? He's obviously trying to engineer something. Kicks it up ahead to Declan Brennan. Declan Brennan back to Mick O'Dowd, trying to work his way through. He's gone past a couple of men, still has the ball released outside to Gerard Moan. A chance here for Gerard Moan. A shot at goal from Gerard Moan. Gerard Moan just took his time and picked his spot. But fine work there by Mick O'Dowd, the old head there, engineering way through that Castleblayney defence and getting himself into a position where he released the ball to Jerry Moan, who perhaps seemed to have taken too long, but Jerry was picking his spot in the corner of Joe Sullivan's net, making no mistake, making the score now. Clontibret 1 goal and 4, Castleblayney 11 points. That's 11-7, 4 points the margin. Joe Sullivan kicks it out. Goal coming after 8 minutes of the second half. The ball is broken loose in the centre. Suddenly this game has come to life. Just lost his momentum again. The ball going across the line there despite the best efforts of Niall Malone. Be line ball for Castleblayney, be taken by Dermot Hughes. Been shown back there by the linesman, back a little bit further. Dermot kicks right for it, in towards it. Full forward and Mark O'Connor, good piece of fielding by him. Trying to go around, Pádraig McGuigan still has the ball. Little tug of hand, releasing the ball inside now where he's got Ray McArdle. Ray McArdle back to Pádraig McDonald. Back to Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor lofting it very wide there, but Niall McGuinness intercepts. Despite the best efforts of Aidan Tavi, Niall McGuinness kick up along that far side and Mick O'Dowd again, just flicking up ahead of him. The player always seems to have time on the ball, kicking it right foot in towards Jerry Moan. Jerry Moan breaks the ball but comes back out towards Tom Miller, who leaves it instead to Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes, the half back, or the corner back rather, out towards the halfway line, up towards Ray McArdle. Back inside for Dermot Duffy. A little bit difficult ball for him, but he gets there nonetheless, gets himself the free just inside the Clontibret half, kicking in himself in towards that corner forward. And he's found Pádraig McDonald. Pádraig McDonald been tackled in there, but still has the ball going in towards the goals. Tries to make room for himself, fisting it back towards Paul O'Connor on the ground. Paul still has the ball, gets it back across to Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy shipping a bit of a shoulder there, but still has the ball, releasing it back out towards Ray McArdle. Ray McArdle hopping it, just looking for somebody inside. He's found that man inside. The player he's found inside is Paul O'Connor. Right for a kick from Paul O'Connor, and this time it's gone right. It's gone wide. The score remains 11 points for Castleblayney, a goal and 4 Clontibret. That's after just 10 minutes gone in this second half. And that Clontibret goal is certainly giving this game a bit of injection. It badly needed. Certainly from a neutral point of view. The spectators have come here to see a county final of class. It has certainly opened it up a little bit. Willie Moan winning the breaking ball to John Paul Moan. Long, high left-footed kick. Racing out there and gathering the ball very well. There's Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy coming away with the ball on his own style of a solo run up across towards the halfway line. Still Eddie Murphy looking for players to come and support him. He's found one there in Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman up for the two. Peter Duffy outside the 45, going on that little jink of his, slowing down then speeding up and getting himself to free as he's brought to the ground by John Paul Moon. So it'll be a free kick for Castleblayney. This is about 30 metres or so out from the posts on the far side. And Aidan Tavy I think will come up. Yes, Aidan Tavy's coming up to take this kick. Aidan, of course, who kicks from the right wing, being a left-footed player, placing this ball on the ground. His team still 4 points to the good as Aidan Tavy steps back on the far side. The breeze just rippling his jersey there as Aidan kicks it left-footed. In and over the bar. Mickey Thompson got a handle, but he couldn't prevent it from going over. So Aidan Tavy scores his 3rd point of the match. That's his 2nd from a free. And Castleblayney have now got 12 points on the scoreboard to 1 goal and 4 for Clontibret. With 11 and a half or just a little bit more gone in this second half. Mickey Thompson brings it up again to the 19-metre line. Mickey's right-footed kick is going across the halfway line. Sean Woods comes forward but doesn't quite gather. Tom Miller's the player with the ball for Castleblayney on the halfway line. A low ball, trying to find Mark O'Connor. Racing out to Paul O'Connor, his brother. Paul has to check back though. Gives it back inside to Mark again. John Paul Moan's in there but can't quite get it. Mark O'Connor still has the ball. Mark O'Connor across to Declan Lockman. Been tackled, been pushed back, but only to Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor's kick is right cross field. It's actually drifting out there with the breeze. The player having to go back there and fetches Ray McCardle. Ray McCardle is Dermot Duffy outside of him. Released now to Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy on a little run through the defence to the 19, to the 13. A low ball in towards Mickey Thompson. Mickey Thompson, the goalkeeper, coming out a little solo and then kicking it right footed. Long ball. A lot of Castleblayney players doing that end of the field. The one coming hardest for is Eddie Murphy, gathering the ball on the half line. Eddie's been tackled, still goes past one tackle, then goes past the second tackle up towards the 45. The full back has gone right in on the towards the 19-metre line. Still been tackled. Clontibret player loses the ball though. Paul O'Connor trying to get in there, but Niall McGuinness, the player for Clontibret, coming out the ball. Niall McGuinness inside to Jerry Moore on the 45. Big Jerry right for a kick, long high ball in towards his full forward line. Declan Brennan's on the way. Brennan's there too, and then gets the first running as far as Michael Hughes. Michael Hughes for Clontibret, the full forward, trying to engineer something here. A low left foot kick, but it's not going to be a good one. Joe Sullivan's going to have no difficulty gathering the ball right foot across that far side of Ray McCardle. Ray McCardle deep in his own half, the half forward up to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman holding up the ball, letting Ray McCardle run up ahead of him. Been tackled up by Niall McGuinness, gets the ball inside to Aidan Tavy. Aidan Tavy across the halfway line, just soloing the ball going into Clontibret half. A high ball in towards Mark O'Connor again. Paul McGuinn in there with him. Paul McGuinn breaks it down, but the Castleblayney player coming across there is Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor on the ground, still has the ball though, trying to get make room for himself, and he's fouled the balls as the referee, and Dermot Hughes throwing the ball away there, and Clontibret player Paul McGuinn having to go back and fetch, and Mickey Thompson's come off his goal line to take this free kick. He's going to actually take it out of his hands. Mickey kicks a long high ball in towards this half. The player in there though is again is Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy releasing on his outside to Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy back to Dermot McCardle. Dermot McCardle up across the halfway line, going in Clontibret half. A lowish ball in that corner forward position again, racing out there. There's Paul McDonald. Paul McDonald doesn't pick it up the first time, goes back to pick it up the second time, cuts inside the half back on the 13-metre line in towards the goals, going right cross field. Still Paul McDonald is scoring position now. Surely it was right for a shot from Paul McDonald, but the breeze has taken that one away from him, and it's gone to the left and gone wide. So the score remains 12 points for Clontibret, a goal in, or 12 points for Castleblayney I should say, a goal in 4 for Clontibret, and we now make it just over 14 minutes gone in the second half as Mickey Thompson again placing this ball on the edge of the small parallelogram. Mickey just rolling up his sleeves as he prepares to kick this ball out. Comes and kicks. Peter Duffy in under, but Willie Moon gets a fist of on up towards his foul line. Gregory Leonard's on the ground. The ball is broken away from, but not illegally, says the referee, so it'll be a free kick to be taken by Damien McKenna in towards the Castleblayney goal mouth again. Up the go for it, but the ball, a man in there coming out with the ball is Emma Brennan for Castleblayney to Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman very deep in his own defence, coming away a little solo and releasing to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes out up this side to Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor back towards his own 45, but still holding the ball. A lowish ball. Willie Moon can't quite get to it. The player getting very well. There's Mark O'Connor having a fine match at full forward. Very close to the sideline. He's gone over the sideline. It's a line ball for Clontibret. Pushed out over the sideline by Paul McGuigan. The line ball to be taken by Niall Malone. A very high ball in again towards Jerry Moon. Jerry Moon trying to break it, gets it down to Michael, but Michael's not a good pass. The pass is cut out in there by Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy out to Dermy Duffy. Dermy Duffy coming away in a solo run up towards the halfway line. Releasing up to Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy in the halfway line. We haven't seen that much of Peter today. Peter's going on a little solo now up across the 45. Being chased by John Paul Moon. Still Peter with the ball. Loses it though. John Paul gets back, but the ball is broken loose, and Niall McGuinness is the player coming with it. Niall McGuinness, not a good pass though, but eventually it comes to Damien McKenna. Damien McKenna's though, his kick is blocked down, very well blocked down there, and having the chase back there by Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy gets back to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes on the solo run in towards the Clontibret goals. Been tackled in there by a couple of Clontibret players, but still gets the ball inside. Back comes to Paul McDonald. Paul McDonald has got Tom Miller on the outside. Tom Miller's kick though is well blocked down across there by Shawnee Woods. Gets the ball up again. Lisa back on the outside, where he's got Ray McCardle, whose right foot shot has gone in and has gone over the bar. Yes, Ray McCardle sending down over the bar, extending Castleblayney's lead. 13 points it reads now to goal and 4, which is 7 for Clontibret. 6 points the margin, and I make it just almost 16 and a half gone in this second half. And I see one of the players has gone down injured out there in the Clontibret half. One of the Castleblayney players has gone down injured. It may be Tom Miller, I'm not quite sure. He seemed to shipped a knock there as that ball was coming through. I think it is in fact Tom Miller, the big Castleblayney midfielder, now receiving attention. So the referee just holding the play up while he is attended to. I'm sure he'll be adding on a little bit of time for this particular stoppage. Tom Miller now back on his feet, taking a slug of that little green bottle, and he's come back to resume his position in the centre of the pitch. So the play will commence with another kick out from Mickey Thompson's 19-metre line. This will be his 13th kick from that line today, because Castleblayney of course has scored 13 points. Long through ball from Mickey Thompson. The ball breaks loose and ends coming back. There's Damien McKenna. He's fouled as he tried to get that ball. Free kick for Clontibret. Niall McGuinness anxious to get on with it. A rightful kick right in towards Jerry Moon on the edge of the square. Now Jerry breaks it down, gathers on the second time. Good ball across to Gregory Leonard. Shot doesn't quite come off from him. Gets the ball back again though. Still on the ground. Gets it right across the goals again. The player going in there is Declan Byrne. An array of Castleblayney players right, and Mick O'Dowd opts for the pint. Gets it over the bar. Mick O'Dowd sending it over there for his second point of the match, and Clontibret's 5th. They have 8 points now because they scored the goal as well, so that's 8 points to 13. 5 points the difference between the teams as Joe Sullivan brings this ball up to the 13-metre line with just over 18 minutes gone in the second half, or to the 19-metre line I should say. Just so can Clontibret bridge the gap, or Castleblayney going to stay ahead? That's the question the supporters around the ground are asking. Just about 12 minutes left as Joe Sullivan kicks this one into the centre. Dermot Duffy going very high. Great piece of thinking by Cucci in the middle of the park there. Putting a little solo run. Been well policed in there by Niall Malone, but gives away the free nonetheless. Dermot Duffy has won himself the free. And Dermot Hughes I think will be the taker. Dermot Hughes opting it up in front of his player. Park Murray for once gets a better Mark O'Connor. A long ball through there. Michael Hughes just lets it slip, tries to get back in there. But the player getting back. They're fetching the ball with Stephen McGill to Dermot Hughes. Dermot Hughes to Tom Miller. The referee has spotted a foul in there, so it's going to be a free kick. And a little bit of dissension among the two sets of players as Tom Miller finds himself down on the ground, just holding his face a little bit, but the referee is adamant that the play will continue with a free kick for Clontibret. Aidan Tavi will be the taker, just a few metres inside his own half, kicking a long high ball. Paul O'Connor in under. Paul O'Connor feels well. Been brought to the ground by a combination of 2 Clontibret players, Willie Moan and Shane McGuinness. So we'll see that there's another substitution made. So another substitution here on the Clontibret team as Michael Hughes makes way for Fergal Moan. Michael Hughes started full forward, and Eddie Murphy certainly got the better of the exchanges. Now being replaced by Fergal Moan. Meanwhile down the other end of the pitch, Castleblayney player receiving some attention there after that last tackle. I think it's Paul O'Connor. Just have to see where Fergal Moan has gone into the full forward line. Obviously to try and engineer. Jerry Moan seems to be standing in the full forward position. Fergal Moan has gone out to the wing or to the corner forward position. The Castleblayney man making his way up a little bit, not quite up on his feet as yet. The referee still standing over him. So quite a few stoppages in this second half, which is 20 and a half minutes old, but that's not allowing for any stoppages. I'm sure the referee will add on a few minutes or whatever he decides at the end of the match. So Pádraig McDonald now fetching the ball. Paul O'Connell's back on his feet, much to the delight of the Castleblayney supporters, and Pádraig McDonald will take the resultant free. This one's about less than 40 metres out, almost dead straight in front of the posts. As Pádraig steps back to try and extend his team's 5-point lead. Comes up to kick it. It's gone out towards the right. It's gone wide. Pádraig obviously allowing for the bit of the breeze there, but he allowed a little bit too much on that occasion. So the ball will end up with Mickey Thompson there back on the edge of his own small rectangle for another kick out. And still 5 points between the teams, 8 points to 13. As Mickey Thompson comes up to kick this one out. It's a lowish ball, this one is shortish to Niall McGuinness out in the 45. Niall McGuinness kicking it further into Castleblayney half, but there on the end of it is Aidan Tavi, who's brought down and fouled. Quickly takes the free kick. Crossing the far side, he's found Declan Lockman. Declan Lockman up further to Ray McArdle. Ray McArdle just going in a little solo in a cross field, looking up ahead of himself when he's seen Paul O'Connor drifted out to the corner forward position. Paul O'Connor gathering this ball despite the attentions of Shane McGuinness. It's still Paul O'Connor giving it back to his brother Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor trying to sell a dummy. He succeeds there. Gets back, but not before he overplayed the balls of the referee, awarding a free out to Clontibret deep in their own half. So Mickey Thompson, I'm sure, will be the taker of this one. Mickey Thompson lofting up to Willie Moan. Willie Moan fist passing it up towards Gregory Leonard. Gregory Leonard on the ball back in his own 45 and back to the ground there. Free kick just outside his own 45 as John Paul Moan comes up to fetch the ball, telling Mickey Thompson to go back on his line, that he's going to take the ball. Mickey Thompson right now is standing on the 45 metre line as John Paul Moan lofts the very high ball in towards the full forward line. Both of the backs and forwards missing, but going back there to pick it up is Aidan Tavi. Aidan Tavi with the ball out to Ray McArdle. Ray McArdle up further to Tom Miller. Tom Miller fisting it up to his midfield partner Dermot Coochie Duffy. Dermot back in his own 45, still has the ball as Emmett Brennan outside of him, decides not to use him, decides to use his midfield partner instead. Tom Miller releasing back to Dermot Duffy. Dermot Duffy up to Paul O'Connor. Paul O'Connor going on a deep run now across the 45, being chased back by Niall McGuinness. Still has the ball though. Paul just holding it up, looking for somebody to come on to it as Willie Moan goes across there, doesn't quite get the ball. Neither Ray McArdle, the play coming out there is Mark O'Connor releasing in instead to Stephen McGill. Stephen McGill, a chance here for the half back, but he doesn't quite take it. He sends it to the left of the post and wide, drilling a low ball when perhaps a point might have been easier. And so the score remaining 13 points for Castleblayney, a goal and 5 for Clontibret, and I make it 23.5 minutes gone now in this second half. As Mickey Thompson again prepares to kick out from the edge of his small padded area ramp. Towards this side of the field, this time up the go for the player breaking it down is Paul O'Connor, but Shane McGuinness gathers from the limber, left foot kick in towards Jerry Moan. Jerry Moan gets a hand to it, eventually breaks the ball and picks up first times along the ground towards Gregory Leonard, but going across there is Ray McArdle, or Darren McArdle doesn't quite get over the substitute there. Fergal Moan chasing out the ball from the Clontibret. It's Fergal Moan trying to work something, kicking the ball right across here towards Mick O'Dowd. Mick O'Dowd's another gets a hand who controls it well. Mick O'Dowd a chance here. Mick O'Dowd's shot, but it's gone into the centre and it's fisted across the face of the goals there. Despite the best efforts of Declan Brennan, I think was the player, he couldn't steer between the posts where he wanted it, so the ball has gone out to the left of Joe Sullivan's posts and gone wide. So Joe Sullivan will resume with another kick out for Castleblayney into this stiff breeze. Dropping on the 45, Declan Lockman another broken in from the by Niall McGuinness. Playing on the ball now is Niall Malone, who's fouled a free kick for Clontibret as one of the Castleblayney players has gone down injured. I think it's Declan Lockman. He seems to have hurt himself in that jump for the ball, seemed to have fallen awkwardly. Some of the Clontibret players just going over to check if he's okay. He may have hurt his back, I think, in that particular jump. So the players availing of the opportunity to get a slug of water. Declan Lockman is back up on his feet. It'll take more than that to stop Decky, I think. Niall McGuinness standing over the ball, as is Damien McKenna. Perhaps discussing what they're going to try and do to try and maybe engineer another goal against this Castleblayney defence. Niall McGuinness wanting the Castleblayney players put back a little bit further, opting to drop it in, but it's gone over to the right and it's gone wide, harmlessly wide on the left-hand side of Joe Sullivan's posts again. So Clontibret unable to bridge the gap. There's still a 5-point margin. I make it 25.5 minutes gone now in the second half. As Joe Sullivan again prepares to kick this ball out. Some of the supporters beginning to drift here out of the Jerry Arthur stand obviously feel that Castleblayney have done enough maybe at this stage, and they're going to go on and regain the county championship as the McDuffie Cup, as the ball is kicked out in the centre, fisted down by Davy McKenna to Mick O'Dowd to Gregory Leonard. Promising move here out towards Niall Malone. Niall Malone's first time shot has gone over the bar. It's gone straight over the bar. First time the ball there, getting a point for Clontibret, narrowing the gap to 1 goal and 6 points, which is 9 points. Still Castleblayney with 13. So is there time for Clontibret yet? Oh, just over 26 gone, but remember there were stoppages in this second half, and that's at the referee's discretion as Joe Sullivan brings this ball again to the 19-metre line. Comes up to kick. Again the breeze is catching it. Tom Miller now going very high there. Sean Paul Moon doesn't quite get to it. Dermot Duffy does, and Dermot Duffy is fouled. The Castleblayney player in his own half with the ball, leaving it down now from sure for Aidan Tavy to kick. Aidan Tavy, of course, come from a very famous footballing family in Castleblayney, kicking it along that far side, picking out Pádraig McDonald. Pádraig McDonald been chased in there himself by one of the Clontibret players. Is fouled indeed by the Clontibret player Sean McSkane, so it'll be a free in for Castleblayney from a fairly scoreable position as far as Aidan Tavy is concerned, I'm sure. This one's just inside the 19-metre line, and Aidan Tavy's gone all the way up to take this free. Is to the right of the post. And one feels perhaps that Castleblayney are just going through the motions at the moment. Certainly the atmosphere here in Clones would tell us that, as if, well, maybe even Clontibret supporters have given up hope as Aidan Tavy lofts this ball over the bar. Aidan Tavy's 4th point of the match, is third from a free, extending Castleblayney's lead there to a 5-point margin again. A goal and 6 to 14. 27.5 minutes gone as Niall McGuinness picks the ball up for Clontibret, kicking it in Clontibret half. Aidan Tavy can't quite hold on to it. Mick O'Dowd can. Mick O'Dowd for Clontibret, going a little solo and ball broken away from though. Fisting across to Jerry Moan. A chance for Jerry Moan. Is shot and it's gone over the bar from Jerry Moan. His left footed kick has gone over the bar there for his 2nd score of the match. Of course, he was the scorer of the goal earlier on in the half. Narrowing the gap that little bit again to a 4-point margin. 14 points to 1-7. 14 to 10 if you want it in points. As Joe Sullivan brings the ball up to the 19-metre line again. John Paul Moan being told, I think, to switch maybe into the centre field position as this kick out comes along this side, very close sideline, going to beat players all across the line. So the line ball for Clontibret, but this is just inside the Castleblayney half. John Paul Moan wants the ball. He wants to get the ball into the wheelhouse, as they say, and I'm sure in towards big Jerry Moan in there. That's exactly what he's done. Kicked it very, very high. Jerry Moan in under it. Jerry Moan grabs, doesn't quite grab it though. The Castleblayney player coming out there with the ball is fouled. So it'll be a free out for Castleblayney. I think Stephen McGill was the player concerned. Indeed, it was Dermot McCardle winning that important ball back in there in the Castleblayney defence, and so Joe Sullivan will take this one just exactly on the 19-metre line as Joe comes up. The goalkeeper kicks it right for it towards this side. John Paul Moan in under, going high but doesn't quite get the ball. The player in there is Tom Miller grabbing the ball and being grabbed himself, and it's a free kick for Castleblayney as Declan Lotman just picking the ball up and then leaving it down again. Declan has gone back there to the centre half back position. The ball is lofted up in front of Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy on a little solo in for Castleblayney, just hopping the ball, throwing it across in front of himself, shipping a knock there from Shane McGuinness as he tried to go past him, and the referee has awarded a free to Castleblayney. I think he may be taking further action. He may put the name of Shane McGuinness in the book for that particular one. Peter Duffy still lying down along the sideline, receiving attention as Shane McGuinness having his name taken by John Mullen, the referee. And indeed Shane escapes with the booking on this occasion. I'm sure he felt it wasn't even justified, but Peter Duffy is still down injured as John Mullen there just speaks to his linesman to hear what his views are on it, as more of the supporters now drift out of the Jerry Arthur stand here. Peter Duffy is back up on his feet, taking a little slug from the bottle, and goes back on in the field of play, to the booing of some of the Clontibret supporters as Pádraig McDonald looks for a suitable spot to place this ball for the free kick. I make it now. We've gone over 30 minutes in this match. But there were stoppages in the second half, and John Mullen is telling Paul McDonald to get on with it. As Park just standing to attention. Oh. Kicking right for it, it's gone drifting to the left. It's gone out over the end line, it's gone wide, so another wide for Castleblayney, but still enjoying a 4-point lead, 14 points to 10 as Mickey Thompson is just placing this ball on the edge of the small square again. But we're into time added on. They've got a minute added on at this stage as Mickey Thompson kicks it high in the centre, well caught by Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy going on a solo run again, being tackled by a couple of Clontibret players. Very close to the sideline, still has it, keeps it in play, first times inside to Mark O'Connor. Mark O'Connor picking up the ball, being tackled by Paul McGuigan, gets it back to Peter Duffy. Peter Duffy just slowing it down, goes past Paul McGuigan, and the referee spots a high tackle there, and Peter Duffy awarding the free. This one's on the 13-metre line, and well, Peter just walks back there as if, well, not much happens, but when Peter Duffy gets the ball, the game just seems to ignite. But this particular one never really got ignited because Castleblayney always in control as Paul McDonald was back to the sideline there, pulling out the flag to take this free kick on the 13-metre line, just about 5 or 6 metres in from the sideline. As Paul comes up to take it, right for the kick, gone right in, gone across to face the goals, but it's gone the far side this time. It's gone wide, so it'll resume another kick out, and the referee is just indicating there's a wide ball, and the play will resume. Another kick out from Mickey Thompson, but surely we're playing out the motions now because we've got 2 minutes and 12 seconds of injury time played as the ball is kicked out short to Niall McGuinness on the far side. Checking back inside, getting it back to his brother Shane McGuinness. Shane McGuinness left footed drive in towards Jerry Moan again. Jerry Moan breaking the ball down back from Mick O'Dowd. Mick O'Dowd with the ball. Mick O'Dowd getting it back across to Jerry Moan. Jerry Moan going on solo and through the heart of defence. There's not much else he can do, but it's been broken away from there, and Castleblayney go back to gather the ball, and the referee has blown the full time whistle, and Castleblayney have regained the McDuffie Cup and have won the 1998 Senior Championship here in Clones on a final scoreline of 14 points for Castleblayney, a goal and 7 for Clontibret. 4 points the margin, but I think in reality one would have to say Castleblayney were easily 4 points a better team. Always seemed in command from an early stage, always seemed to have time on the ball and an extra player coming alongside, and scored some fine points. So really built up that lead with the breeze in the first half, done the work at that stage, enjoyed a good half-time lead, but came back out in the second half, conceded a goal all right to Jerry Moan and Clontibret, but always had enough in reserve, always seemed to be on top of the game. It was just a matter of those last 5 or 10 minutes of playing out the motions and just waiting on that final whistle from John Mullen and the chance for Declan Lockman to lift the McDuffie Cup. This indeed the 33rd time that Castleblayney have won the Senior Championship, and I don't think anybody could begrudge it to them today or could say that they didn't deserve it, because Clontibret just had too many handicaps coming into this game, too many star players short, and at the end of the day had to concede to a better team, more organised team. And nobody in Monaghan can say that this year that Castleblayney haven't played the best football in the Senior Championship. So now here today in Clones, they reap the rewards of that. A very proud championship tradition for them, and I'm sure a very happy moment for the Cavan man over there, PJ Carroll, the team manager, who took over this season, and his backroom mentors there as well. Tony Dunn, his coach, who's also from Cavan, the selectors Pat Mackin and Michael Burns, and indeed I'm sure all the other people associated with the Castleblayney club very happy to have regained the county championship, because sometimes they tell you, well, it's our definite right to win the Monaghan championship, and that's the way Castleblayney go out in every year's competition and has reaped them very rich rewards. So as the supporters just flock onto the field there to congratulate the players, we will wait here until the presentation takes place down here just in front of us. The McDuffie Cup, a splendid cup it is, on display down here in front of the County Board Chairman Liam Sturr. I'm sure he'll be making the presentation there, flanked by fellow County Board officers, as they await the arrival of the Castleblayney team led by Declan Lockman and the other players to come up the steps to receive the cup. We'll take a little break from the proceedings and wait until that happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to welcome each and every one of you here today to this showcase of Monaghan football. It's a great honour for me as Cahira of Clontibret to do so in an absolutely fantastic stadium. Thanks to the Clones Club and Coriola and all the people who worked so hard to get the field in such magnificent condition for 2 matches. I would also like to thank John Mullen and his umpires and linesmen for doing such a magnificent job here today. To our main sponsors of the Senior Championship, ACC Bank, and indeed their manager, Kieran Regal. Many of you will know that Kieran's a cattleman and to get money out of the cattleman sometimes like getting blood out of the stone. But we get it every year anyway. And we're hoping for a big increase next year when the Senator of ranking becomes more public. There's going to be plenty of money there. To our communications committee under Gary Carroll, who did a great job with the publicity of the game and the programme. I'm sure you agree that the programmes were excellent today. To all people who have out of the gates, not only today, but every day. To my fellow county board officers, especially John Healy, for all the work that he puts in to get everything ship shape for today, and Paddy O'Rourke, who works on selflessly for the good of the GAA in Monaghan, and to our chief steward, Jerry Duffy. Before I go on to announce man of the match or congratulate both teams, I'd just like Kieran Regal to say a few words on behalf of ACC Bank. He tells you how to get money at no interest rates in Ireland now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And on behalf of ACC Bank, the sponsors of the Senior Football Championship, I would just like to say we are delighted to be associated with all the officials coming on board. Congratulations to both teams today for an excellent game in very difficult conditions. But above all, congratulations to the winners, Lady Fox, and the wish of all the best. Thank you very much.
We're now going to announce man of the match, and this man has given tremendous service to Monaghan County and Castleblayney over a number of years. The fourth day, I think, and another 21, 7 or 8 years ago, and with great pleasure in announcing man of the match, Eddie Morgan. Ian Regal will now present Eddie with his man of the match award.
Thanks, love.
Eddie is here as usual, he doesn't want to say anything. Finally, to both teams for a very good display of football in entire organization. I think it has to be that whatever begins today didn't end itself to good football. But clearly it has to well and deservedly Northern Ireland. To Clontibret commemoration, they had a very difficult task after losing so many games from last year's team. But the spirit that's in Clontibret keeping the fight all the way, and we congratulate them for that and wish them well in the future. I know that they'll be back here in many years to come.
It's only the start of it, please.
Finally to Castleblayney, who need no introduction from me anyway. Magnificent team there, fantastic brand of football, and we wish them well in the Ulster Club Championship. I hope that they do run on throughout, which I'm sure they will. I was the next round more first on a horse to be champion, Brandon and Lauren. That's the last one.
It's a long time waiting to get this chance to stand here, so we may have to wait a couple of minutes. First of all, most importantly, I want to welcome the wee Mick back to the lane. I want to thank the Clontibret Club for the condition of the pitches in here today, despite bad weather conditions. I'd like to thank the officials, the referee, umpire and linesman, and the county board for the turnout we have here in this stadium today. Clontibret, I'd like to thank Clontibret team management for it's not an easy job to come and defend your title. And we have come across one or two obstacles this year that was going to leave us very hard to beat. So I'd like to give 3 cheers for Clontibret. Is it? Is it? Our officials and mentors. Having 8 years in the field, we had 6 or 7 men stood there every night. Half of them had no call to be there, but it was in the interest of the club and had kept them there. Junior McManus, the chairman, Pat McDonald, Pat Martin, Billy Function, our medic David Function, selectors Mickey Bourne, and anybody else that made an athletic. Junior. And back last our club decided that this championship had to be taken back, and we set our stall by taking in 2 javelin. It had to reach us to that event. I'd like to thank here on behalf of the boys, Tony Young, our trainer. And the man who was called the lunatic, PJ Clark. And the put in the road more PJ. You got it to the well, but this time you took the wall with it. Finally, I'd like to thank a very important member of our team for the inspiration and courage shown to us all in a battle a lot more than any county fan can give. Thank you. I don't think there's anything left to say, only that we'll see you in the day of happening.
Just to say that our team photographer here didn't get that photograph recording, so we'll have to run it at the end.
There it is. Let me. Lovely, take that. Hello, Stephen. Pleasure, Stephen.
So, great moment there for Declan Lockman, the Castleblayney captain, and indeed very long serving player, and not alone with his club, but with his county as well. And indeed, one can recall many thrilling, stirring displays by him in his career, and none better player to lift the McDuffie Cup than Declan Lockman. As he said, he'd waited a long time for this day. His day has come to pass. Captain of the Castleblayney team, winning the 33rd championship, taking the McDuffie Cup back home, as Declan said in his speech there. So Castleblayney taking the cup home, and that brings the curtain down on this year's senior championship in Monaghan. Indeed, the double bill here today in Clones, the power reverting back to what people refer as the big guns. Scotstoun winning the minor championship, Castleblayney winning the senior. But I think it'll be also something to note, the 2 teams to beat in the final, Clontibret in the senior and Ballybay in the minor final. Between those 4 clubs for the last 50 years, they've shared all the county championships in Monaghan. So perhaps that's an anonymous sign maybe for the future, the minor teams are coming through from the same clubs. But Castleblayney won't mind, and I'm sure Scotstoun won't mind, because on this day in Clones, it's the 6th of September 1998, Castleblayney go home with the senior title, Scotstoun with the minor. And with that, from myself, Paddy Conley, the commentator here, cameraman Michael Mullen, and Ballygally Video, we certainly hope you enjoyed the match. And I'm sure if you're from Castleblayney, you'll enjoy it even more than the Clontibret viewpoint. But that's the way it is. We leave it at that, and we hope that you've a good hour's viewing, or an hour and 10 minutes, or whatever it is, on this video.